Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. I've been getting requests recently to do a new ShopMissA.com haul and try their new AOA Studio products. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. Not only are we gonna try these on, but I'll be putting them through an all-day wear test. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. Welcome to my channel where we talk all things budget beauty. If that sounds interesting to you, then become the newest member of the Slashed Squad by hitting subscribe and the bell icon. All right, first up, I got a brand new Wonder Blender sponge. This is like my favorite and probably the best makeup sponge out there for the price. It's $1, but it's so bouncy and fluffy and blends makeup beautifully. Now, they sent me this in their new color, which I actually very much appreciate. Here's how it looks like wet, and yes, this is a beige sponge, and it may not be the prettiest looking sponge out there, but it's going to be way less noticeable when it gets stained by your foundation. Now with this sponge, I'm gonna be testing out one of AOA Studio's newest foundations. This is the Pro Wear Full Coverage Foundation. This foundation costs $1.55. It comes in 15 shades and is supposed to give us medium to full buildable coverage with a semi-matte finish. So I'm gonna be trying out the shade Natural Beige. I just chose it blindly by looking online. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it straight onto the sponge. I've got sort of a creamy texture, definitely worried about that shade. And as you can see, my breakouts are sort of healing, but definitely leaving a lot of discoloration behind. So let's put this coverage to the test. Ooh, that's really yellow on me. Dang, okay. It is spreading out really nicely though, giving us a first layer of solid medium full coverage for sure in one layer. Wow, this shade is sort of insane. It's really difficult having sort of a natural yellow undertone for foundation picking because you tend to pick the foundation choice that looks the least pink and then you get this. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. I'm gonna try to not let the color of the foundation affect my opinion of the formula, which is actually looking really nice so far. My pores are being minimized, almost completely invisible on my nose, and the finish is really pretty. You kind of have a natural glow about you without getting dewy. When we're looking at my breakout spots here on this side, they are very well covered. Okay, I'm gonna use concealer and bronzer to sort of help this shade look a little more natural for me. Okay, I think this is the best we're gonna get, but I did want to point out that I didn't set this foundation before putting bronzer over it, and it was a powder bronzer, blended over beautifully. No patchiness whatsoever. Everything's looking really smooth. Very excited to put this next product to the test. It's the new AOA Studio Brow Gel. This is a waterproof, long-lasting, smudge-proof formula. I have this shade Ebony. Let's hope I didn't totally bungle the shades on all of these products. So it just comes in this little squeeze tube here. I'm going to put it a little bit on the back of my hand and pick up the product from there. So that's what we got starting out. It has sort of a thinner pomade texture. Okay, Ebony was definitely the right choice. Okay, I've only applied what was on the back of my hand, which was hardly any, but it's been really easy to spread it through the brow. It's blending out nicely, and even though it's a brow gel, it's very pigmented, I don't think that it's looking too harsh. I'm glad I started with such a small amount because definitely did not need more than that. Not only is this helping me fill in my brows, but as it sets, I can feel the hold kick in, but it's not a crunchy feeling at all. It has a flexible, soft hold. Wow, I'm really liking this. Of course, it all depends on how they hold up throughout the day, especially on such a hot day. It's gonna be 106 today. So if these brows look as good as they do now, by the end of the day, then they will definitely earn their spot as a new favorite. Next, I have a handful of the AOA Studio Buttercreams. So these can be used as both a gel liner and a gel eyeshadow. I do have some other eyeliners that I want to try today, so I'll be using these on my lid. Now, I've tested one of these out in the past, but I hadn't worn it very long. But for the time that I did wear it, it did not crease on my lids. This is the shade Sprinkles. It's a shimmer, and this does come in both a shimmer and matte finish. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blend that all over the lid. Ooh, super pigmented, straight out the gate. Got sort of a metallic finish. As I blend it, I can feel it start to dry down, but it's still really easy to diffuse at the edges. So we've got one layer blended out there, and it does go on pretty strong. You can blend it to be a bit sheer. I'm just gonna add a little bit more to the center of my lid. It layers up beautifully. That is so pretty and so easy for just a one color eyeshadow look, which you all know I'm a big fan of, especially when I'm just feeling lazy, but I do want to pop. I want to go in with one other shade. This is Pumpkin, sort of an orangey bronze. I'm gonna put that in my inner corner and sort of the first part of my lid. I always thought orange and purple were a really fun color combination. Ooh. Ooh, I think I just discovered something. As I blend these together, I'm getting more of like a rose gold shade. So these might be super fun to just layer and mix to get custom colors. And it seems like the two shades are blending in with each other really nicely. I'm not getting any sort of line of demarcation, even though the purple was already almost completely dry and set. Well, this went in a direction I didn't think we'd be going in this morning, but I am loving the bold colors. Next up from the new AOA Studio makeup releases is their gel eyeliner. Again, only $1, supposed to be long lasting and creamy. Ooh, okay. Really easy, hardly any pressure to get a lot of pigment. So I'm gonna use this to tightline. This didn't claim to be waterproof, so we'll test out how well it does in this area. Well, it applied really easily to my waterline. I did layer it up a little bit, but there was no tugging at all, and it's now completely opaque. Going out of my comfort zone and testing yet another new liquid eyeliner. You know how picky I am about my liquid eyeliner, so let's see how this one does. It's called their Artista eyeliner pen. I have black and I've got purple. I figure we'll use both. Let's go in with the black first. Oh my gosh, this is already earning points. It is a brush tip. So happy already because you all probably know how much I prefer brush tips 10 million times over felt tips. Okay, let's just try this on the back of the hand. Okay, might be a shiny finish, we'll see. Ooh, okay, going on super rich. It's just a tip with any brush tip liquid liner that you get. Warm it up or break it in on the back of your hand first, because sometimes the bristles are sort of stiff from being in the cap, and it helps create a better product flow out of the tip. So now I'm able to just kind of stamp it on, and we're getting a lot of product with each stroke. Nice sharp lines for sure. I'm getting a little bit of tugging, but I think that has more to do with the texture of the eyeshadow, because when I'm out here, it's going on really smoothly. Are those liners even? Let's add a little purple in there, shall we? Oh, it's a pretty dark purple. You can really hardly tell the difference between the black and purple. I'm not super optimistic about how this is gonna last in my tear duct, but I just had a vision and went for it. And the tip of this liner is definitely precise enough to do stuff like this. So, all right, two new styles of their 3D faux mink lashes. I have the Harper and the Ava or Eva. Both very dramatic, as is the rest of this look today. I think I want to go with Harper though. So these are triple layered so that they look super full and fluttery. Look at how fluffy and soft they look. And these are $1.55. Not only are they so cheap for how luxe they look, but part of the proceeds goes towards animal charities because it's part of their Paw Paw collection. Totally vegan, cruelty-free. It does not get better than these lashes. And I can usually wear them up to like 4 times, and I'm not gentle with my fake lashes, but the band is pretty thick and durable. So if you take care of them, you can definitely get more than 2 to 3 uses out of them. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and trim these to size, then I'll be back to slap them on. So just in case you're curious, this is how much of the lash I trim for my eyes. And I do use the AOA Studio A+ Super Lash Glue, my favorite. I don't use anything else anymore. It's so similar to the Duo Lash Glue that I used to swear by. You've got an easy brush applicator, so you can just brush on the glue, and it lasts all day. Like their Paw Paw collection, the A+ collection also donates some proceeds to charities, but I believe the A+ one has to do with education. I mean, honestly, have you seen such a fluffy and luxe lash for less money? Oh my gosh, this is probably my new favorite style from them. These lashes are also really comfortable for how big and dramatic they are. The band is really flexible, so it conforms to your natural eye shape, and they're not super heavy either. Obviously, if you don't wear lashes a lot, they'll probably feel kind of weird, but as someone who wears lashes with a lot of my looks, I would say predominantly definitely most of them. These are very, very comfortable. This one's not a new product, but it's one that I think will go with this look very well. The AOA Studio Lumi blush. This is in the shade Wine. Since I already bronzed, we'll just kind of pat this right on top and blend it out. Now this is a sort of satin metallic type of blush. Something a little different for me. I usually go for matte blushes and then I go all out with my highlighter. But it's always fun to play with something different once in a while. Finally gonna be testing out the AOA Studio Pal Lighter. This is a loose highlighting powder. I have had a few of these in my drawer for the longest time, but I don't think I've actually ever tried any of them. So let's go for it. This is in the shade Nebula. It sort of looks champagne-y. Oh, okay. First off, not a fan of the sifter. That was a lot of powder that is now all over my lap. Here's what it looks like up close though. That's gonna be pretty. Wow, this is really going everywhere though. This is not the neatest packaging by far. I feel like mesh sifters just need to be the standard now because the plastic grate kind, it always just lets way too much product through. And not only do you end up with product like all over you or more product on the brush than you need, but you waste so much by it like blowing into the air. I am at peace with the world. Oh my gosh. Oh, I want to bathe in this. Okay, so this side I went a little bit more subtle, but it's still beautiful and noticeable. This side I went all out and oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. Okay, so maybe it's redeeming itself from the crappy packaging because it is so pretty. It's definitely a shimmery highlight. If you look really closely, you can see the shimmer particles, but they are very fine. So it's not like a chunky glitter by any means, and the highlighter itself has enough pigment so that altogether it just looks like a beam of glow versus a bunch of little shimmers. Now we just have to get through closing it. And yet another little pile is lost and now on my lap. I don't have any new lip products from AOA, so I'm just gonna put on a gloss. This is the Essence Shine 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 Wet Look Gloss because my lips are in bad shape as you can see, and I just can't put anything on that's not either a gloss or a tinted lip oil or balm. Oh, I forgot. Okay, I'm thinking this through because the last product that I picked out to try today is the new AOA A+ Setting Spray. This is a $1.88 setting spray. It is again part of the charity edition. I want to test it out, but then that is sort of going to mess with the wear test of the foundation. The foundation could be super long lasting without this, and this could do nothing and I still think it works at the end of the day. Or vice versa, the foundation doesn't last on its own, but the setting spray is good enough to get it to work well throughout the heat and sweating. You know what, I think I'm thinking about it too hard. I think I'm just gonna use the setting spray and see what happens. Okay, that has a really strong, even and fine mist, so it definitely got a very good spread of my face. I'm not a big fan of the rose scent. Rose is such a polarizing smell and people keep putting it in their makeup. Actually, this has more of a natural rose scent. It's not artificial or overpowering at all. It actually smells like rose water petals, but it does sort of leave behind a little bit of a perfume. So here's the finished look so far. Very impressed with my first impression of a lot of these products, but the real test is gonna be how this looks at the end of the day. So I will check in with you then and share my final thoughts. All right, everyone, I am back and it's actually been about 7.5 hours since I put this makeup on, so I do feel like I have a good idea of how it performs throughout the day. Let's take a look. So first things first, this foundation, I have a little bit mixed feelings about, and I will definitely have to continue testing it, but I think it could have used a primer. You know, not every foundation is going to perform as well as I expect without a primer, but I say that because I can see it breaking down around my nose predominantly and also around my mouth. There's a little bit of patchiness on my chin, and it's also broken up and looks a little crusty around my acne. So that I'm not a fan of. However, in the areas of my face that are a little bit more normal and balanced, it still looks really smooth and even. Actually, even on my forehead, it hasn't fallen into any fine lines, and I also don't think it looks all that shiny either. But especially over here, the cheeks and jawline area, the foundation looks great. most of the patchiness is happening towards the center of my face, which is my most oily area. As for the brows, they are still looking great, and I have done a little bit of sweating today. Now, they're not completely transfer proof. Like if you run your finger over, you might get a tiny bit of pigment on your fingers. For the most part, they're still there, they're still defined. So this performed really well. I am liking the brow gel. So that was a win. What I'm probably the most impressed with though, the Buttercream Gel Liner Shadow Duo product. My lids have absolutely zero creasing. That's insane. I did not put down a primer underneath this creamy eyeshadow that started out so slick feeling. And there's not one area that it looks bunched or patchy. The lashes still look bomb, no surprise there. Now let's talk about this eyeliner really quickly. On its own, it didn't smear or fade or flake, but it's not smudge proof. If you do touch your eye by accident or you start rubbing at it, it will start to fade and then sort of crumble off. But even then, it's not like really easy to smear it off. I love how it applied. It went on super pigmented. Y'all know I love the brush tip. If they had made a waterproof version of this liner, I think it would have been perfect. Now the gel liner that I tight lined with is still there and still going strong. So even though that was not marketed to be waterproof, it has not come off. Despite my eyes being somewhat teary, it's transferred ever so slightly onto my lower waterline, but not nearly as much as some other liners that I use from the drugstore. Also, the liquid liner that I put in my inner corner still looks pretty good. It's worn off a tiny bit on this eye, but doing way better than I expected. Tell me what your favorite makeup from ShopMissA.com is in the comments below. Today's shout out goes to Julie. Thanks for being a member of the Slashed Squad. And join me over in this video next where I talk about my favorite clean beauty products from the drugstore. I'll see you over there. Bye!